Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Bookmas. Thank you so much for being here. Now, in today's video, I want to discuss all my anticipated 2025 releases with you guys. We have some truly amazing books coming out in 2025. My wallet is not really going to enjoy that year because some of the books that I am sharing in this video, I have already pre-ordered. I cannot say that I'm very mindful or very demure. We have fantasy sequels coming out. We have new Grady Hendrix. We have new Talia Hibbert, Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez, R.F. Kuang, Victoria Schwab, Ellie Hazelwood, Riley Sager, like you name it, everybody is publishing a book in 2025. Now I curated a list for 15 books. These are my top 15 anticipated releases and many of them I have already pre-ordered. I am super excited about these ones, but I am also going to include a couple of honorary mentions because, just like I said, everybody is publishing a book in 2025, and while these books and some of these authors are not necessarily on my list, I haven't really decided whether to read these books or not. I will probably wait for initial reviews. I know that these are very, very, very famous authors and some fantasy sequels that people adore, and I just want to bring them to your attention. Now let's get to the top 15 books, and I will discuss these books in order of release date, but just keep in mind that release date is something that is subject to change. And the very first book that is coming out in 2025, like literally it is coming out on January 1st, is Cleopatra by Sarah El Arifi, and I am so excited about this book, guys. Not only because this is historical fiction, and we all know how I feel about historical fiction, though it seems to have some fantasy or magical elements to it, which is, you know, an added bonus in my book, in my dictionary. But also, growing up, I was absolutely obsessed with Egyptian mythology, Egyptian gods, and also pharaohs. And Cleopatra, I mean, come on, everybody knows who Cleopatra is. And I'm just so incredibly excited about this book. Now, reading the synopsis, I already picked up something. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, because the synopsis says that this book will follow Cleopatra since the day her father died and she became queen. And that's actually historically incorrect, because Cleopatra did not become queen upon the death of her father, because it was her brother who became king or pharaoh. And then after the death of her brother, and you know, historically it is questionable whether Cleopatra had handed that or not, because some people think that she was actually someone who seized the throne, right? That's when she became queen or pharaoh. So I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit of glitch in the synopsis, and maybe I'm just like picking or whatever. I'm not trying to show off my historical knowledge, that's not what I'm trying to do, but because I am quite obsessed with the story of Cleopatra, I just know this little detail. Anyways, I am picking this book up on January 1st. This is one of the books that I actually pre-ordered. I never read anything by this author, and I am really looking forward to it. And 2 weeks later, on January 14th, the new Grady Hendrix book is coming out, Witchcraft by Wayward Girls. And this is also something that I have pre-ordered. I am so happy that we have 2 fantastic books coming out in January, because January usually is a pretty bleak month for me. So I'm happy that we have at least good new releases. And do I need to sell Grady Hendrix to you? We know that this is gonna be a horror. This is gonna be a gothic horror. And apparently in this book we are going to Florida, because this book takes place in Florida in the 1970s. And I adore when Grady Hendrix does that, when he takes us back to the 70s, to the 80s, to the 90s, early 2000s, whatever. I love that. And in this book, we will follow a group of very young girls who are homed in a house that is specifically for unwed mothers. And in that house, they will discover the power of witchcraft. Sign me up. I'm here for this. I'm here for this. And then just 2 days later, on January 16th, there is another book coming out, The Baby Dragon Cafe. That is supposed to be a cozy fantasy romance. Now, I don't know how I feel about this because you guys know that I'm not really here for cozy. I mean, I am here for cozy, but like I feel that now we use the word cozy for every genre. Now we have cozy horror and we have cozy fantasy, and it's just something that doesn't really work with me, so I don't know how I feel about cozy fantasy romance. But I will pick up this book and then we'll see. The synopsis of this book, it actually sounds so good. In this book, our main character is Safira. And Safira owns a coffee shop where she sells coffee that is roasted by baby dragons. But unfortunately, this coffee shop is not doing very well, so she makes a deal with a guy named Aiden, and she promises him that she will train his disobedient baby dragon if he pays her enough money to keep the coffee shop afloat. Sounds good? It sounds good to me. And in February, on February 11th, the last Emily Wilde book is coming out, Compendium of Lost Tales. Now, because I keep everything spoiler free in this video, I am not going to tell you the synopsis of this book. What I'm going to tell you is that I am, on one hand, super excited because I adore this series. I really do adore Emily and also Vendel, like separately, and also like their relationship. But I am also really heartbroken on the other hand, because with this last book in the trilogy, the series is supposed to end, and I don't really want this series to end. The next book on my list is Murder by Memory by Olivia Waite, and this is coming out on March 18th. And again, the synopsis sounds crazy good, but I don't know how I feel about this book because this is supposed to be a cozy sci-fi, and never once in my life have I heard about a cozy sci-fi book. A cozy sci-fi space-born mystery book. Murder mystery book. That is how this book is described. Now, when it comes to the synopsis, just let me to read this to you from Goodreads because this is something that I am not going to remember. Now, welcome to the HMS Fairweather, Her Majesty's most luxurious interstellar passenger liner. Rooms are included. New buddies are graciously provided upon request. And should you desire a rest between lifetimes, your mind shall be preserved in a glass in a library. One of the detectives, Dorothy Gentleman, wakes up in a body that isn't hers, just as someone else is found murdered. She finds that someone is not only killing bodies, but purposefully deleting minds from the library. A mastermind may be at work, and if so, they've had 300 years to perfect their schemes. I think this sounds very good. What do you guys think? Now, April looks very promising because we have huge books coming out. On April 1st, the new Abby Jimenez book is getting released, Say You'll Be Mine. And this is a contemporary romance. And again, I'm not gonna lie, after I read the synopsis on Goodreads, I was like, what is this book about? I just don't really get it. This book is on my list because of Abby Jimenez. Now, based on what I read on Goodreads, we have two main characters here. Xavier, who is supposed to be like a perfect guy. He looks like a Greek god and he's very nice and kind, and he's a vet, you know, he loves animals. But apparently every time he opens his mouth, it's like a disaster. I don't know exactly what that means. And our main female character, Samantha, they spend a date together or spend the night together. I am not completely sure. And then Samantha asks Xavier just to forget about it. It is the best for both of them, I'm guessing because it was a disaster of a date, to just forget about it. But apparently they cannot. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm guessing that a couple of months or years later they reconnect and maybe rekindle their relationship. I don't know. That is how I understood the description. And the next book coming out in April, on April 22nd, is the newest Emily Henry release, Great Big Beautiful Life. And this is, of course, a contemporary romance, but as I was scrolling through the categories for this book on Goodreads, it also put it in the category of chick flick. And I wanted to specifically mention that because I don't know how I feel about that. What do you guys think of that, because sometimes I feel like when people say chick flick, it's not a very positive description, whether we're talking about books or whether we're talking about movies. When people say, oh, it's just a chick flick, it's always something that rubs me the wrong way, because it's 2024, but we still believe, and apparently we still think, that certain movies and certain books that are specifically written for women, those don't have value. They cannot be valuable, and it always rubs me the wrong way. But you guys, let me know what you think about this. In this book, we will follow two writers, Alice and Hayden, and while Alice has a more like free, optimistic style to approach writing, and you know, some might say that she's not very successful in writing books, Hayden is somebody who already got the Pulitzer Prize. And they are competing to tell the life story of a socialite named Margaret. And Margaret decides to trial these two people, so she invites them to her mansion, and they have to stay there for a month competing for Margaret's attention, or I should say assignment. This sounds so good. Two people who are rivals. I don't know if they, hate each other or not, but I'm guessing that this will be more like a rivals to lovers. Close proximity. Those work for me. Those two tropes always work for me, so I cannot wait for this book. April 22nd. And apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but as I am filming this video, the newest Sangu Mandana book, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, it is supposed to come out on April 25th. Now, this book has been delayed so many times, I know, because I pre-ordered it, and every time when they change the publishing date or the release date, they always send me an email, and I just don't listen to it anymore. Apparently the newest release date is April 25. I don't know, I guess that we will just have to keep our eyes open. And in May, on May 13th, a new book by Ling Ling Huang is coming out, and that is Immaculate Conception. I am anticipating this book because Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, it was quite possibly my best book of 2023, and I cannot wait to read from this author again. And this book is advertised as horror, and in this book we will follow two artists and their friendship, which is apparently quite obsessive. We will follow Anka and Mathilde, and while Mathilde is getting more and more attention, she is becoming increasingly famous, it is not happening for Anka, and Anka would do anything to keep this friendship, even if it means that she will have to use a technology to take over Mathilde's mind. All right, sign me up. Sign me up. And on June 10th, the newest Victoria Schwab book is coming out, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And again, this is a description, this is a synopsis that I just simply cannot keep in my mind, because there are so many different timelines and locations in this book. So let me please just give you a couple of details looking at my notes. So this is gonna be an adult historical fantasy with vampires. And specifically, I put this book on my list, not only because it is Victoria Schwab, I mean, come on, but also because one part of the book takes place in Boston. Hello. So we have one timeline in the 1500s, like 1532, and it takes place in Santo Domingo. And then also we have another timeline in Victorian London, 1837. Come on, like Victorian London, come on. And then we also have another timeline in 2019, and the events are taking place in Boston. And the description says that this book is about three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. Okay. Sign me up. Sign me up. You had me with that description, and with the vampires, and with Boston and Victorian London, okay? Your book is on my list. And in June, we are also getting a new Taylor Jenkins Reid release. atmosphere. Now, I'm not sure if this book is coming out on June 3rd or June 13th because I found both of these dates connected to this book. So I am not sure. It's either June 3rd or June 13th. So this book is a historical book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I feel, after reading the description, I feel that this book was actually inspired by the Challenger tragedy, like, you know, in the 1980s when NASA recruited a lot of different civilians because they wanted to put them on a space shuttle, because they wanted to start a space shuttle program and then just take the civilians out of orbit. And then we all know what happened. It was just a tragedy, a disaster, and it was so big that it got, like, you know, worldwide coverage, unfortunately. And this book takes place in the 1980s, and we will follow Joanne, who is a professor of physics, who sees an advertisement from NASA recruiting civilians for the space shuttle program. In August, on August 15th, the newest Talia Hibbert book is coming out, and this is titled Skybriar, and this book doesn't have a cover yet. So I think I will just include a picture of a gingerbread man here. There you go. You're welcome. What I know about this book is that this is gonna be the first in a new romance series by Talia Hibbert, and in this series she will give a modern twist, a modern reimagination of Jane Austen classics. Automatically sign me up. On August 19th, the newest The Kingfisher is also coming out, Silver and Hemlock. And this is gonna be another dark and twisted fantasy fairy tale retelling by the author. She's done everything. She's done Beauty and the Beast, Goose Girl, Sleeping Beauty, and this time she's doing Snow White. And the end of August, August 28th, the newest R.F. Kuang book is coming out, and I believe that it is called Carabasis. It is Carabasis or Carabasis. Let me just try to find it. How do you say it? I think it's Carabasis, right?
Catabasis.
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 Okay, Catabasis. Okay. Apparently, it's a Greek word and it means a hero's descent to the underworld. And this is gonna be, based on the description, a dark academia book that is taking place in Cambridge. So again, I am just automatically here for it. And apparently two academics who are rivals, they need to go to hell to retrieve their supervisor. I mean, who would do that? Who would do that for the supervisor? Whatever. And it's not just about the descent, but it's also about the ascent. Like, somehow they just have to survive this journey. I am looking forward to this book. End of August. Put it on your list. And in October, on October 9th, Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson is coming out. And all I remember from this description is that this book is about evil, hot, kinky fairies. And that is all I need to know about this book. I'm yours. I'm here for it. Okay guys, now the honorary mentions. The very first book that I want to bring to your attention is Four Ruined Realms, and this is coming out on January 7th, and this is the sequel to Five Broken Blades. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me, so I'm not sure whether, or when I should say, I'm picking up this book. Next is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and this is coming out on January 21st. I have not yet decided to read it or not. The next book is Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood, and this is coming out on February 4th. Honestly, I don't think I will pick this book up. I'm not really interested. This is gonna be Ellie Hazelwood sports romance, right? It's about divers and swimmers and Olympics and a very, very toxic power dynamics at the workplace. Not really my jam, but if you love Ellie Hazelwood, there you go. It's coming out on February 4th. Then we have Sunrise on the Reaping. This is the newest Hunger Games book by Suzanne Collins, right? And this is coming out on March 18th. Then we also have Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake coming out on April 1st. Then we also have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick, I believe, and this is coming out on May 20th. Then we have the newest Riley Sager release, With a Vengeance, and this is coming out on July 3rd. Again, I have not yet decided to read it or not because Riley Sager is a hit and miss author to me. And there is one more book here. I want to mention this book. This is coming out in 2026, but I wanna mention in this video so you guys can put it in your Goodreads or whatever app you read, because this is something that you will want to pick up. The Lost Thorn by Talia Hibbert. This will be a fantasy romance written and published by Talia Hibbert, and this book specifically is going to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I cannot wait. I just simply cannot wait. Well, these are my most anticipated 2025 new releases. Let me know what book tickled your fancy on this list, and definitely let me know if you know about a new release that somehow I just missed in today's video. Do your thing, hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already done so, you are welcome here, and I'll see you soon in an upcoming video. Bye!